Right, so I am experiencing this weird boredom in my life. I've been working in a remote job, and so the issue that I'm starting to have is that if I don't get out of the house intentionally, I will not see people for weeks on end other than my family. And with this boredom, I've also been feeling a little bit of demotivation, or a little bit of this idea that everything I do each day is the same. I wake up and I eat and I go to the gym and I work, and it's just that over and over again. And I think working from home partially has caused me to dress like a little bit lazier, or has caused me to not put as much effort into my appearance as I like to. Not in a self-centered way, just in a way that I like to feel like I look good. But working from home has resulted in me wearing a lot of sweatpants, a lot of buns, a lot of days where I just put my glasses on instead of my contacts, even though I see better with my contacts. And there's nothing wrong with any of those, but it has gotten to the point where I feel like those make me tired, if that makes sense. When I'm at home and I'm not dressed up to get shit done, or I don't feel like I'm dressed up to get shit done, I don't really get shit done. I remember when I was in school, this tactic that I used to get myself to study when I didn't really want to study was actually just going to different places, and that type of novelty gave me motivation, and it gave me this sense of like my life wasn't just stagnant and I wasn't doing the same thing every day. And I've gotten into a bad pattern of this remote work where I don't have that. So in efforts to kickstart my motivation, we are going to go to a new place each day, and I'm taking you with me, and I'm gonna track if this makes me more productive, my energy levels, my overall sense of motivation. Because I'm gonna be honest, I do love a good hoodie and sweatpants. In my natural state, that is where I'm most comfortable. I thought that I was the most productive in that state because I was just the most comfortable version of myself, but it's potentially becoming a problem. I don't know yet, we're gonna find out. So I'm hoping that this kind of kickstarts my motivation and kickstarts this like drive and the spark that I have for life, because I feel like I've been missing that lately. So yeah, let's go. Today's Monday, so I'm not really feeling like I'm in the work mood, but since I'm surrounded by people who are already working, it's kind of forcing me to be in that mood. Today I have a few meetings, just some emails to send and things like that, like logistics wise. That's my Monday day. Let's see what happens. I'm back home. It's 3 p.m. now. Honestly, I'm feeling pretty good. I feel like I was more productive for a few different reasons. One of those reasons being I just didn't have access to any of the comfy locations that I would normally take a break in. Sometimes I'll sit on the couch, sometimes I'll sit on my bed. I didn't have that today. So potentially I was less tired because I wasn't exposing myself to those areas or putting myself in areas where I could have become more comfortable. So I do feel like my energy levels were higher. I do feel like I was more productive. The options are pretty much unlimited for distractions at home, but when I'm out at the library or a cafe or something like that, that's really the only thing I could do is work. The only situation that I feel like needs to be remedied for the future is food. If I want to do a longer day, like a full 8 hours, I'd have to pack a lunch. So that's the only downside to the working from home versus working outside of the house. I just need to plan better, I think. Okay, bye. Hello, welcome back to my 1 week challenge of getting out of my motivation rut. Today's gonna be a little bit different from yesterday. I've already done the first half of my day, but if you know me, you know I love a good lock-in sesh after lunch. And the reason I'm going to this place after lunch is because I now have a full belly, I now have a coffee, and so I'm trying to mediate this situation where yesterday I was just really hungry. As a side note, one of the perks about getting outside of the house is that you actually just interact with people. And it sounds like I need to go touch grass when I say that. A lot of the time, since I'm doing calls online, I don't get that face-to-face experience. Like I don't get to see people's smiles. I don't get to see people's reactions. I'm thinking that my motivation to work has partly been lower due to the fact that I've just been interacting with people face to face less. I'm really looking forward to today because I have a lot more energy than I did yesterday. I do longer work days, so I think that this potentially might be the move, because in the morning I'm like in one area and I'm locked in, and then in the afternoon I move to a new area. So I kind of beat that midday slum that I get myself into. We're going to the library, so I'll see you in a bit. So far today has actually been very productive for me. This was my to-do list. There's just a little bit more editing I need to do. All my meetings are done. I've did some strategizing with the team. I am feeling pretty productive. Only thing is, I do tend to get a little bit overstimulated by my hair for some reason. When I'm working, I like to have it in a bun, and that's just always why it's in a bun, because it's just not touching my neck. Super short and sweet today. Today, the plan is going to be a little bit different to get out of the house. Instead of working first and then getting out like I did yesterday, I'm going to test if getting out first and then getting into my work mindset is going to be better for motivation and productivity. We're getting out to do two things. Number one is going to the gym. Good outfit might potentially bring back that motivation for me. We're also going to get my nails done. For the longest time, I have been a chronic nail biter. And I learned a very long time ago that if I feel good about the way my nails look, I'm not like picking at them all the time, I also feel good about my life in a sense, and I feel more confident, and I feel a little bit more like I can do the shit I want to do. I'm just a little bit more confident. So while I was out of the house this morning, I wrote down a few of the thoughts that were coming to my mind as I was going about getting my nails done and as I was at the gym. And this day might be potentially the most important day for finding out more about myself and my productivity and my energy. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed because I've spent a good chunk of my morning doing like fun activities. I'm not a crazy morning person, but I'm really feeling like I haven't achieved much today. And so my motivation to now get into a productivity mindset and like a good grind in the afternoon isn't really there. Energy levels as per usual, but I do really feel like those morning hours, for me at least, set the tone for the rest of my day. So I don't think that I'm going to do any more activities in the morning that aren't work-based, because I don't want to feel like I'm overwhelmed with my to-do list. Just not really feeling motivated to start working again, but we gotta get to it. We have a special guest today. Today, we're taking you to, first we're going to get coffee, then we are going to a library. This still counts as getting out, even if it's just for 1 hour, and I think that my motivation and my energy is going to be boosted. Today it really became clear to me that getting out of the house, even to do small little adventures, do boost my motivation. Even if I don't consider those productive, or they're not necessarily a productive task, these little activities that I've done are important for how I feel overall in the week. I've been taking this challenge day by day, but I think what might be more important and more insightful for the future is to look at my productivity and my motivation on a week-by-week basis. Because I'd rather have a week of consistent, predictable work, rather than being too productive one day and burning myself out for the next. Today is the 5th and final day of my challenge to get out of the house and see how it impacts my motivation. Friday is normally the day that I take time to get into a little bit of the zone for writing. I thought that this would be a great opportunity for me to build something into my daily life through this challenge. I used to write a lot in nature because I do really think that getting out of your space puts you into a different mindset, especially when we're talking about inspo and creativity that you need to be able to zero in on your thoughts and understand what's going on in your mind. And since a lot of the content that I'm doing online right now is storytelling, that requires me to be a little bit reflective about my own life. So today, I wanted to take the chance and reflect on what this week has been for me and a little bit of advice for you if you feel like things have just become a little bit too boring in your daily life. First main takeaway I think this challenge has brought me is surrounding this idea of novelty and what our brains do when we're trying something new. Since I've been out of school, I haven't really found something that has replaced those types of experiences for me. When you're in university and you're always seeing people in your classes and you're always going to different lectures and the rooms are changing, there are novel experiences that you can find. And since I am a girl of science, I looked into why I was feeling like my life was a little bit slow and stagnant when I wasn't having these new experiences. And turns out that our brains actually release dopamine when we're experiencing new things. So it kind of makes sense why I've been feeling a little bit less energetic and productive lately, because I haven't been having these sorts of experiences that are releasing dopamine in my brain. And what I've learned from the challenge, and what I think I would recommend to any ambitious person out there who has big goals that are going to take them a little bit to accomplish, is that us entrepreneurs who are working from home a lot need to sort of manufacture this novelty or manufacture these new type of experiences into our life to signal to the brain that we are passionate about our goals, we do love life, and we do want dopamine to be released so we can continue to lock in. I really used to think that I had to sit by myself, locked away, to get the most work done. And after a lot of time by myself in the same space over and over again, day in and day out, it kind of has become clear to me that grinding in your room alone 24/7 isn't really the solution to productivity. So whether this be a new work location or a new type of food or even something as simple as reorganizing your workspace can help take advantage of this little dopamine boost. And I really think that to balance out those days where I have low motivation, this is a great option to just relocate somewhere, get into a new headspace, and start tackling what I want to tackle. The con, I would say, is I do feel like I lost a little bit of time driving to these new places, and I do think I spent more money than I normally do on little sweet treats at cafes and coffees and things like that. Nothing that isn't impossible or too much of a stretch to build into your daily life here. And this kind of leads us into the second takeaway I have. Especially as ambitious entrepreneurs, our motivation ebbs and flows, right? You're not always motivated. It's just not possible to always be in that sort of mindset. But what is possible is to make it easier for you to get into that state when you don't want to be in that state already. And this is best explained with an example from this week. So there was a few times where I didn't have motivation to start working at all. But being in the library made it easier for me to make the decisions I wanted to make. I just didn't have the motivation to make. So if I was at home, it'd be a little bit easier to call it quits early versus when I'm at the library and the only option is really to get work done for the block of time that I allowed myself to. It creates this sort of weird bias in our brains where we're a bit more motivated to do the things that we don't want to do simply because of the situation that we've put ourselves in. And I kind of think about social accountability like a structured workout class. So I go to the gym pretty frequently, but every time I go to a structured workout class or a 1 hour HIIT, I find myself working a lot harder than I normally would if I was by myself. The aspect of almost peer pressure, where you see the people around you doing certain activities, in this case, working out, so you're more inclined to actually do those activities and keep up with the pace that everybody else is at. So if you've watched this far in the video, you're probably seriously considering a little bit of a life change. I hope this video has helped you or gave you some inspo at least for what you can do, boost your motivation to keep chasing those goals that you're chasing right now. See you in the next one.